When a woman begins to distance herself, most men treat it as a puzzle they need to solve. They replay old conversations, wondering where things went wrong, or they panic and try to force closeness through constant calls and messages. But here's the truth: her silence isn't random, and it isn't meaningless. It's communication without words. Every woman has a rhythm in how she shows interest. When she's fully engaged, you feel it. She laughs a little more at your jokes. She reaches out first. She looks at you with warmth and focus. But when that rhythm changes, it doesn't happen overnight. The signs show gradually. Her responses get shorter, her availability decreases, and the energy between you shifts. By the time she becomes distant, she has likely been thinking about it for some time. Her silence is the result of quiet reflections she's already had in her own mind. And this is why it's important not to treat her distance as confusion, but as clarity. Instead of rushing to fill the silence with more noise, learn to listen to what isn't being said. Often, the greatest respect you can show is by paying attention to her actions, not just her words. When she begins to pull away, a natural reaction rises inside you, the urge to chase, to fix, to close the gap immediately. It feels like something is slipping through your fingers, and your mind tells you the solution is to hold on tighter. But chasing rarely brings her closer. In fact, it usually has the opposite effect. The psychology is simple. When you chase, you're silently communicating that your sense of balance depends on her attention. Without meaning to, you place her at the center of your stability. But genuine attraction isn't built on need, it's built on strength. When a man shows that his identity remains steady whether she is near or distant, that steadiness earns respect. Think of it this way: if her presence feels like your oxygen, then every step she takes away leaves you struggling for air. She can sense that desperation, and it reduces the very connection you're trying to save. Instead, the stronger choice is to remain centered. Let her see that while her closeness matters to you, it doesn't define you. That quiet confidence creates far more pull than chasing ever could. Many men confuse masculine presence with being tough, aggressive, or cold. They believe that when a woman pulls away, the correct response is to mirror that coldness, raise their voice, or show indifference. But real strength doesn't come from pretending to feel nothing. It comes from remaining steady no matter what emotions are in the air. Anchored masculinity means you do not collapse when things shift. If she withdraws, you don't rush to argue, over-explain, or beg for closeness. You also don't build a hard shell to hide insecurity. Instead, you remain grounded in who you are. Your self-worth is not shaken by temporary distance. This steadiness is rare. Most men panic or become reactive the moment they feel disconnection. But the man who is anchored shows calm in the middle of uncertainty. He doesn't need to prove himself through loud words or dramatic actions. His quiet stability says more than any argument could. When a woman sees that her withdrawal does not throw you off balance, it creates a powerful impression. It shows her that your identity is not dependent on her approval, and that kind of calm presence is unforgettable. When a woman begins to withdraw, many men make the mistake of increasing their effort to compensate. If she sends fewer messages, they send twice as many. If she grows vague, they push harder for clarity. But this imbalance usually backfires, because it shows a lack of self-control. Mirroring her energy doesn't mean copying her behavior to get even. It's not about being cold or distant to punish her. Instead, it's about balance. If she steps back, you adjust not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. You give what is being returned, no more and no less. This is where dignity comes in. Dignity means you remain warm, respectful, and kind, but you do not overextend yourself for someone who is choosing to pull away. You stay present without abandoning your standards. You continue to live fully, while letting the connection reflect equal effort from both sides. By responding this way, you show her something deeper, that you value mutual energy more than one-sided pursuit. And this quiet balance commands more respect than chasing ever could. It shows her you are not afraid of distance, because your worth doesn't depend on her closeness. Silence is often misunderstood. Some men treat it as a weapon, a way to punish or manipulate. But real masculine silence is not about control, it's about clarity. When you stop speaking or stop chasing, it's not because you want her to feel pain. It's because you want to see the truth of her actions without interference. When you step back, you give space for her choices to become clear. Does she move closer on her own, stay distant, or continue to drift further away? That answer tells you more than any argument or repeated questions ever could. Silence allows you to observe instead of react. It also protects you. When emotions run high, words spoken in panic can leave regret. Silence keeps you steady, prevents unnecessary conflict, and shows discipline. It communicates, without force, that you are not here to beg for closeness, you are here to see if it will be offered freely. This kind of silence is powerful because it comes from self-control, not anger, and self-control is always more attractive than desperation. When used with dignity, silence becomes a signal of strength, patience, and balance. When she walks away, she already knows the version of you she is leaving behind. If you try to convince her with words, promises, or repeated efforts, you're only showing her the same man she decided to distance herself from. Instead of proving yourself to her, focus on transforming yourself. This is where distance becomes an opportunity. Instead of filling the silence with pursuit, use it to rebuild. Strengthen yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally. Develop your focus, pursue your goals, and sharpen your purpose. The time you once spent chasing her can now be invested into becoming the best version of yourself. When she looks back, she should not see the same man waiting where she left him. She should see a man who grew stronger, more disciplined, more confident, a man who is no longer defined by her presence or absence. Whether she returns or not, you win, because you didn't just wait for her, you evolved without her. That transformation is what creates lasting confidence. She may or may not come back, but either way, she will remember the man who didn't collapse, but instead became greater in her absence. When a woman distances herself, the first thought many men have is, how do I win her back? That question may feel natural, but it keeps you trapped in her frame. It places all the focus on her decisions and leaves you blind to your own. The stronger question is, how do I make sure I never lose myself again? This shift changes everything. It moves the focus from chasing her approval to protecting your own identity. It forces you to reflect on where you may have overgiven, where you ignored your own standards, or where you allowed the connection to unbalance you. When you stop asking how to get her back, you begin asking how to grow stronger, more disciplined, and more centered. This is the mindset that builds long-term respect, not only from others, but from yourself. Ironically, when you stop chasing and start protecting your peace, you often become far more attractive. Not because you try to pull her back, but because you've become the kind of man who doesn't need to be chased at all. That is the difference between desperation and dignity. One of the fastest ways to lose respect in any relationship is to beg for closeness. When you plead, over-explain, or chase after someone who is pulling away, you may think you're proving love, but what you're really proving is that you don't value yourself enough to stand firm. Respect is built when you show that your peace of mind matters more than someone's temporary attention. A woman may notice your effort, but what truly impacts her is your ability to stay calm, composed, and self-respecting, even in moments of distance. That steadiness communicates something powerful. I care about you, but I will not collapse. For you, attraction doesn't thrive in desperation. It thrives in balance. When you hold your ground, you create space for her to reflect. Instead of feeling pressured, she begins to feel the weight of your absence. And often, that absence speaks louder than any words you could say. By protecting your dignity, you not only preserve self-respect, you create the kind of presence that is harder to forget. Begging weakens connection, but self-respect strengthens it. The man who values himself always leaves a deeper mark than the one who pleads. When someone pulls away from you, it can feel like a loss. But in truth, distance is often the beginning of transformation, if you choose to use it wisely. Instead of seeing her withdrawal as an ending, see it as an invitation to grow into a stronger version of yourself. Most men waste this time chasing, replaying memories, or waiting for her to return. But the men who come out stronger are the ones who shift their focus inward. They ask, what can I build during this silence? What part of myself have I been neglecting? Whether it's your health, your discipline, your purpose, or your mindset, this is the moment to sharpen it. Growth turns pain into power. It changes distance into fuel. When she looks back, she may see a man completely transformed, the one who pleaded for attention, but the one who rose without it. And here's the deeper truth. Whether she returns or not becomes less important, because you've already won. You've built a life that stands on its own foundation. You've proven to yourself that no absence can break you, because your strength no longer depends on anyone else's presence. At the core of every situation where someone pulls away lies a simple choice. Will you lose yourself trying to hold on, or will you protect your peace? Many men forget this truth in the heat of the moment. They sacrifice sleep, self-respect, and balance just to keep someone close. But nothing is worth more than your inner stability. Protecting your peace doesn't mean shutting off emotions or acting like you don't care. It means knowing your value and refusing to let anyone disturb the center of your life. When a woman distances herself, it is a test of discipline. Can you remain steady without forcing her to return? Can you continue building your life even when her attention is not there? Peace is what makes you strong. It allows you to make clear decisions instead of emotional ones. It allows you to stay calm instead of reactive. And it makes you far more attractive, because people naturally respect those who guard their energy. In the end, the lesson is simple. Never give away your center. Protect your peace, remain grounded, and let others decide if they are strong enough to walk beside you. Asterisk.